Did the game change so much in your favour in the second half?
No, I think there were already spells in the first half where we showed how good we are in ball possession.
It's possible in the second part of this season for Liverpool. A gap between you and Arsenal is 14, which, I don't know, you tell me, it seems like too much, but obviously there are, in terms of qualifying for the Champions League itself, there is still an awful lot to play for.
Yeah, and don't forget the FA Cup, which is the next game coming up. So, let's first hope that the injuries you have we come back as soon as possible. But I'm afraid that another injury has come up today, because let's hope for the best, but I fear the worst for Conor Bradley.
Did that upset you at the end? Not just the injury, but the way particularly Gabriel Martinelli handled it?
I think if a player of us is on the floor, people might know by now that is. Normally I say 19 out of 100 times, or maybe I should say 100 out of 100 times, then there's something wrong with that player. And I think you could see this. So, you don't like to see a player being moved if he might have such a big injury. That was indeed an incident that happened, that I didn't like to see one of my players being moved out of the pitch if he might have such a big injury, which we don't know yet, but might be.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, that is a concern for Liverpool, and of course for poor Conor Bradley, who's been so unfortunate with injury. Some fairly strong words there from Arne Slot. The incident was just down to our right-hand side here, with the challenge on the Northern Ireland International, and then the reaction from Gabriel Martinelli. What did you make of this, Michael?
Well, first of all, it does look a nasty one. There looks like there's a roll of the ankle there, and he's in some pain. You see him tapping the floor. It's an awkward one, because 9 times out of 10 players can go down and can stay down. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with Arne Slot there. Frimpong stayed down when he thought there was a penalty early in the first. I think there was no way he was hurt there, but he stayed down. I don't necessarily agree with that. However, that's poor. Throwing the ball at him to start with, and then pretending that you are concerned by patting him and saying, "Oh, are you okay?" and then sticking your knee in him and trying to push him off, and then using your arms to push him off. That's not good. And obviously it's made worse by the fact that it could be a serious injury. And as I say, 9 times out of 10, it's okay to do that. People play acting, people are wasting time, whatever. But there was no reason for Liverpool to waste time at the minute. They were having a good second half. And the outcome of it, if Conor Bradley is seriously injured, it's not a good look for Martinelli. Not at all.
Can you understand why the Liverpool players were incensed there? Yeah,
absolutely. And, I'm sure, I know Gabriel Martinelli, and I know that he's not a mean-spirited person. The fact is, he's probably the latter stage of the game, feels like they're under pressure, trying to win the game. Last stages, that's out of order. Absolutely, there's no excuse for that. And you can see now, you can start to see that he looks like he's in pain. So that don't look good on his point of view. And again, look from his point of view, he's thinking that he's gone down, the game's over nearly, and he's wasting time. That's what he's thinking. Has he taken that from the fact that Frimpong was doing it in the first half? I don't know, but there's no excuse for that. I can't really say anything other than he probably thought it wasn't as injured as he was.
Yeah.
And how much do you feel for Conor Bradley? Because it seems just when he gets in the Liverpool team, when he gets a run in the Liverpool team, something like that happens to him.
Yeah. And it's not like a repetition of the same injury all the time, is it? It's different injuries.
Yeah. Well, let me just give you this stat. His longest run of consecutive starts in his Premier League career is 8.
Wow.
And not so long ago, I was reading numbers, maybe only about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and someone told me that he's actually been injured about 50% of the time. He's not been available for selection in about 50% of games in the last 2 years. For somebody that's very young, that's not a great stat, obviously. And it's the reason why, when Trent Alexander-Arnold left, Liverpool didn't just sit back and think, right, Conor Bradley's our right back. They had to go and get cover because of that injury record. And of course, Frimpong then came in. ironically, he got injured as well, and we've seen Endo play there. We've been seeing
Szoboszlai.
We've been Curtis Jones. We've been Gomez. You know, there's lots of different stand-in right back.
Does that
now.
make this, what Arne Slot thinks is a serious injury, even more of a worry now going forward? Because it's been a problem position with all those players you've just listed having to play there.
Of course. So they have got, as I say, you know, Frimpong's back playing now. He might have to revert to right back if Conor Bradley's injury is as bad as we first fear. Then they've got other people that can play out a position, let's say. However, it's not good, obviously, being young and getting injured so many times. I know, I felt it myself. It's the most frustrating, horrible thing in the world. And
you had 5 shots in the second half. At one point, you were the only player on the pitch who'd had a shot in the second half, and a couple of those free kicks. Just watching from the sideline, felt like we could have another Anfield moment. Obviously, you scored the free kick back in August.
Yeah, no, it looks like I still have to practice even more. And also about my shooting, but they defended well, and we take the 1 point.
Can I just ask you what you made of what happened at the end? I saw that you were right there. Conor Bradley obviously went down injured. Martinelli trying to roll him off the pitch. What did you make of that? Did that anger you as Liverpool players?
I see that Conor twisted his knee. I don't know what is going on with him. And obviously he didn't want to come back to the pitch to make it time wasting or something. He just had so much pain that he couldn't even think where he roll. And then you come there to push him off the pitch. I understand that you want to win. We want to win as well. But I think the health of a player is much more important than something else.
Thank you for answering that. You weren't quite able to get the goal to go with your performance, but nonetheless, player of the match.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, player of the match today. Match winner, of course, back in August. Liverpool are only the second team all season to come here to the Emirates and stop Arsenal winning in the Premier League. Now, they didn't have a shot on target. The first time that's happened for Liverpool in the Premier League for 16 years. However, when you listen to what Dominik Szoboszlai is saying, is it a step forward? Is it proof again, without some big hitters, that they can compete with the league leaders?
It absolutely is. I mean, first half was definitely Arsenal's on points. Liverpool reversed that in the second half. OK, Arsenal had a late flurry, but Liverpool were the better team in the second half. And I said before the game, you know, when you're champions, when you're great players like they've got, and even though they're underperforming a little bit this season, when you're playing against other great players, when you come to a stage like this, you've got something about you that says we're not going to get embarrassed, that we're not going to get beaten by these today. And the performances of the likes of Konate, Van Dijk, etc., was that of champions, I think. Listen, even if you're the best team in the world coming to the Emirates, a draw is always a good. It's hard to go away from home. It's hard to play against a top team, and I don't care whether you're in flying form or if you're struggling for a result. That's a really good performance from Liverpool.
What percentage of that was credit Liverpool, and what percentage maybe was Arsenal not quite firing on all cylinders?
I think you have to credit Liverpool for their second half performance, but I think for the first half performance, I thought we created enough chances and got the ball in the box on occasions where you have to take those opportunities, because that you're not going to get too many more that we saw in the second half. And I think Liverpool in the second half, they realised, let's keep the ball, let's see what we can do, let's hit them on the break. I think Liverpool had the better chances. But again, I think it's another one for Arsenal to learn about at this stage of the season. I'm quite pleased that in the end they managed it to get a point rather than not get anything, because they're still in pole position. That was a tough game in the second half, simply because I think that you have to be more ruthless in the first half about the chances what you're creating to take, because chances, they change games. And if they score them chances, they don't get nervous in the second half, they don't drop off a bit, they don't give Liverpool the time that they had, they would go for them a little bit more. And I think that's what happened. You have to take those chances what you create in the first half to finish teams off. You've got to be ruthless. And if you don't, a club like Liverpool and a team like Liverpool, they'll bite you.
And in terms of chances, was that just what was missing from Liverpool today? You heard Dominik Szoboszlai say he had a few shots there. They didn't have, like I say, one on target in the whole game. It's just that final ball, that lacking that little bit of quality at times.
It was, and it's understandable when you look at the types of player that are missing. The Mo Salahs, the Isaks, the Ektikes. A couple of players, Frimpong, for example, getting in really good positions and just not having that end product. A couple of easy balls, actually. But as we were saying, the closer to the goal you get, the harder it gets, and that's where you start having to make the difference. Let's say lots of players can do frilly skills outside the box and around the halfway line, but as soon as the final ball, the final finish, that's the most important thing in football. Liverpool just lack that a little bit, but as I say, a fair excuse when you've got all those players that are missing. But overall, I think Arne Slot will be pleased with the performance.
Just on your point about the contrasting halves, right? You have a look at the numbers from the first half compared to the second, when Arsenal, obviously, as Michael said, had the better of the first half. They had more possession. They had those 6 shots. In the second half, they had less shots, 66 possession for Liverpool, and twice as many passes in the final third. What was the reason for Arsenal in that second half, do you feel? Couldn't quite get a grip of the game?
I didn't think, like the closing down initially to get to Liverpool, I didn't think that happened. I think as soon as Liverpool got the ball, kind of dropped off, and just, then Liverpool go across, see if they could pass it through, then they try and win it back then and try to break. I didn't think that was working very well for us. Thought maybe the substitutions could have been a little bit earlier to get a little bit more energy. Would like to have seen Jesus earlier, maybe Noni Madueke a little bit earlier to get a little bit more pace, a little bit more buzz, a little bit more zip into the game. I thought that came, and we saw a little bit with Noni Madueke, but by then, I think that the second half, what we showed was a team that is trying to finish it, and you could feel nerves. I think there was a little bit of nerves. I thought that there was a little bit of let's just be careful here. Let's not lose this now. And I think that what we've got to have there, I think the attitude we've got to have is we've got to be, we're going to win this. And then if we don't win it, okay, we'll take that. But we can't be safe. I thought we felt a little bit safe and nervous there.
Do you think Liverpool sensed that in the stadium as longer that second half went on?
A little bit, and they grew in confidence as well. As soon as you start knocking a few balls around, then you start growing into it and thinking, hang on a minute, we can get something here. I think from Arsenal's point of view, they're a very efficient side. They're not going to blow anybody away. They're not like a Manchester City that can beat somebody 5 or 6-0, or a Liverpool, when they were absolutely flying a year or two ago. I think Arsenal are based on a really good goalkeeper, really good defence, efficient midfield. I think it's a very, very solid team that are going to win games 1-0, 2-0, 3-0 maybe. But they don't blast you away with dozens and dozens of chances, but they look so. I mean, it's very, very difficult to beat them. They're so good at the back. They're so solid. They're so well drilled. It's hard to create chances against Arsenal. I think you saw an efficient display from Arsenal, and if they could have nicked a goal, they could have nicked a goal in the last few seconds. I'm sure we'll go on to see that set piece, and that wouldn't have been typical. That would have been unfair to Arsenal to say that. But that's what they're a very efficient team. You never feel as if they're flustered or under pressure. Whereas obviously, the teams that have won the league over the recent years have been very good attacking it. They might concede. Liverpool concede a lot of goals, even when they're winning leagues and whatever, but they were just a real expansive team, where I think Arsenal are a bit more efficient, and it was important for them not to lose today.
I would say, though, Mike, what with those teams that you mentioned, they've got a striker that can, in those moments, Mick, you know what it's like when the game's tight. You can see you're not going to get many chances like you saw against a Liverpool, and you do need. That's what we thought we bought. And that's what you need, because if we're going to talk about the balls that went across the goal all the way through, when you're paying that kind of money, you want something, they've got to be there. And that's what makes the difference in games like this, because the first half, we created enough for us to get something. It didn't happen because we didn't have someone to take the chance. And we done that and then the second half, you get more and more nervous because of everything what's encapsulating with what Arsenal are trying to do. It's all... everybody's worried about it, and you can feel it. You can feel them getting deeper and deeper. And we can't do that. We've got to go for it. We've got to make sure we take these chances and finish games off a little bit more comfortably than we are at the minute.